Want to watch football without the restrictions of blackouts or cable? Check out expressvpn.com to help you get access to all the live games. Sign up today using the link in the description to get 3 free months. Yo, what up, Bolt fam? It's the director. Chargers fans, how we doing, Chargers fans? I know kickoff is a few months away. We're all starting to get the itch. Chargers football, where is it? But man, we still got a lot to talk about, dude. This team has undergone such a transformation, and I would say most of that transformation has come on defense. And the defense is going to be the topic of conversation today, one that maybe also carries a bold take on my part. But at the same time, man, I feel super strong about this take, and I do think it is very realistic to think that the Chargers defense will be the factor in winning the AFC West. I believe that this defense could take the division, and I do think it stands apart from any other defense within the division and gives the Chargers a clear edge. Rebuilding the defense is certainly something that Brandon Staley surely wanted to do in his first year. Instead, he rebuilt the offensive line. That was vastly important as well. Well, finally, the pieces have come together to form a hugely impressive defensive team, and I do believe that this could be the factor in the Chargers taking the AFC West. It's going to be a good one today, guys. We're going to be featuring why the Chargers defense is ready to dominate the division by design, because it's not hard to notice what Staley and Telesco have done. This is all about matchups. How do these players match up against the teams in the AFC West? Before we do get started, guys, question in the comments, like we always do, of the Chargers defensive superstars, who stands the best chance at winning Defensive Player of the Year? Derwin James, Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, JC Jackson, or other? Let me know in the comment section below. Well, before we do get started, guys, hit us up with a like and sub if you do enjoy this Chargers content. The small amount of time you guys take to hit the like, sub, and bell notification helps me out a lot. Let's get into this one. Lights, camera, action. Why I strongly believe that the Chargers defense will win the AFC West. Let's jump right into it, guys, because we are going over every nook and cranny of this defense in featuring how they match up against our AFC rivals. We're going to start with probably the most exciting addition of the offseason, an offseason that featured so many exciting additions. It's hard to single one out, but for me, it is going to be Khalil Mack. In my opinion, guys, when you take a look at a division like the AFC West where the Chargers reside, lots of tough teams, lots of tough quarterbacks, a premium, not just a premium, but an elite, a league best pass rushing duo is almost required to even have a sniffing chance at winning a division like this. I believe the Raiders understood this, hence why they picked up a Chandler Jones. The Broncos understood this, hence picking up a Randy Gregory. The Chiefs, they did some stuff, but maybe this might be one of the key factors in their downfall this season, mainly being on defense. So what did the Chargers go and do at the edge position this offseason? Well, we went out and we made a blockbuster trade, something that we don't really see often with this team's history, in acquiring Khalil Mack, one of the league's best, most dominant edge rushers. He's going to be joining the Chargers and Brandon Staley and reuniting with him to form one of the best, if not the best, pass rushing duo in the league, along with Joey Bosa. Now, without a doubt in my mind, this is one of the biggest strengths of the defense. Bosa and Mack are so vital to the formula of taking the AFC West. It's going to hinder a lot in how they do this year. And boy, howdy, guys. The cards are definitely in their favor right now. The chips are stacked in their favor. This should be a career year for Joey Bosa. I feel like Mack stands a good chance at doing the same. I think the career high for Joey Bosa was 12.5, and the career high for Khalil Mack was 15. I think we should see closer, even surpass those numbers this season because of the talent that each of these individuals does possess. The depth is also very impressive at the edge position as of right now, too. You got Kyle Van Noy, another slam dunk offseason acquisition. Chris Rumpf, and then maybe Jerry Tillery plays a little bit of the edge position as well. They're looking really good. Now, taking a look at these quarterbacks, man, the first thing you got to think about in terms of Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack going up against Russell Wilson, Patrick Mahomes, and Derek Carr is going to be their offensive lines. Okay. Now, in terms of who Bosa and Mack are going to be facing, Bosa's probably going to be facing a majority of right tackles, where Mack is going to be facing a majority of left tackles. And we're going to list off some of the guys from these teams, man. For right tackles and Joey Bosa, it's going to be Billy Turner with Denver, Andrew Wiley with Kansas City, and Alex Leatherwood with the Vegas Raiders. I think for the most part, you can tack a win for Joey Bosa in each of those matchups. At left tackle, mainly featuring who Khalil Mack is going to be facing. You got Garrett Bowles of the Broncos, Orlando Brown of the Kansas City Chiefs, and Colton Miller of the Vegas Raiders. Again, I feel like some of those guys are pretty good, specifically Orlando Brown, but when it comes to facing against Khalil Mack, it's hard to imagine Mack not winning a handful of those matchups as well. And those tackles are likely going to be without much help, with Sebastian Joseph Day and Austin Johnson plugging the middle too. Just Bosa and Mack are going to feast. If there's one big thing that bothered me as a Chargers fan last season, because Joey Bosa, one of my favorite players in the entire league, it was watching that man get double and triple teamed. By design, Tom Telesco, Brandon Staley have created a scenario, created a situation for these players where that should be pretty rare. And if it does happen, somebody else is going to get free. Whether it be Khalil Mack, whether it be a DB, edging or rushing off the edge, or whether it be one of our interior defenders as well, somebody is going to get free. That is the level of quality players that we've got on this defensive line all of a sudden. Now, in terms of what happens to these quarterbacks when their pass protection fails them, Derek Carr, we all know, folds under pressure. People get super upset about that, but it's true. Joey Bosa said it himself in a presser. It feels like Derek Carr drops the ball when he's faced with pretty good pressure. And we've seen that as Chargers fans for many years. Back when we had Melvin Ingram, of course, now with Joey Bosa. We know what we're going to be facing when it comes to Derek Carr if we can start adjusting some pressure in his direction. And with the Raiders' offensive line as a whole, it feels like the Chargers are going to be causing a lot of headaches for Derek Carr this upcoming season. Now, when it comes to Patrick Mahomes, I feel like a lot of people believe the best way to defeat the Kansas City Chiefs as a whole is to get to the quarterback. Get Patrick Mahomes out of the pocket. Because in each of our games last season, I did notice that when faced with pressure, Patrick Mahomes will either throw it in the dirt, out of bounds, or even into coverage. And that is something very vital in turning a page in dominancy for the AFC West. The Chargers understand this, and if we can make Patrick Mahomes create a few more mistakes for himself, I feel like that's just the edge the Chargers need to pull ahead. And lastly, we got Russell Wilson, a bit more of a wild card. As you know, I have watched Russell Wilson in his career, but not as closely as the other two. We know that Wilson's been sacked a lot. As a matter of fact, 427 times since being drafted. I'm not even kidding. That's the fourth most in league history since they started recording the stat of sacks. That's the fourth most. I have a feeling Russell Wilson is going to get sacked a lot more this offseason. When it comes to the two worst offensive lines in the AFC West, you're looking at the Broncos and you're looking at the Raiders. So Russell Wilson going from a bad situation in Seattle to maybe a less horrific situation in Denver, but still it's going to be very tough considering the elite pass rushers that also reside in his division. So Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, these guys match up very well versus the Broncos, Raiders, and Chiefs. And these quarterbacks have all proven to create some mistakes when faced with very, very good pressure. Next up, we got to talk about the trenches. What do you guys think, by the way? What do you guys think? I'm actually going to go back to this one real quick and show you guys without the camera on here. What do you guys think? I think I'm going to put these on the Instagram at some point. Very cool visual in representing what the Chargers matchups will be looking like this season on defense. Next up, we're going to focus on the trenches, which have been deepened. Sebastian Joseph Day, Austin Johnson, Massive upgrades for this Chargers team, who could not stop a nosebleed, let alone any sort of rushing attack from their opponents. The run defense should see vast improvements this season solely because of the additions of Sebastian Joseph-Day and Austin Johnson. The AFC West, in my opinion, has some great but not elite running backs, of course, featuring from left to right Josh Jacobs, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and Javonte Williams. Of the three, I think I'm the highest on Javonte Williams. We know the Broncos like their rushing attack. Should see some improvements with Russell Wilson there as well. That's probably the one to pay the most attention to. But what the Chargers have just added in this defensive line should help contain and at least prompt the Broncos to pass a lot more frequently than we've seen in the past couple of years. This new unit playing beside the best edge duo in the league will eat some serious space, because as Sebastian Joseph-Day and Austin Johnson will help Bosa and Mack, the same can be said vice versa. They both offer pass rush upside as well. So getting one of these guys in a one-on-one matchup, I feel like that will give the Chargers more upside in terms of sacks and pressure from the interior of the defensive line as well. But one of the biggest things that I wanted to highlight about the defensive line as a whole is the depth at this position. It's absolutely ridiculous. The Chargers added, Christian Covington, Morgan Fox. We got Braden Fayoko, who was the #1 run stopper at the defensive line last season. And, of course, guys like Jerry Tillery and Otito Ogbonnia. The Chargers have so much depth at the position. It's kind of interesting to think as to who's going to actually make the roster with so much talent on the defensive line. And this reflects maybe a serious rotation to keep players at peak performance, if that makes sense. With a Morgan Fox, a Christian Covington, and Otito Ogbonnia, I feel like the rotation will always be fresh. Sure, Sebastian Joseph-Day, Austin Johnson will see a majority of snaps, but these are some quality backups and guys that can step in a pinch. And this is going to force teams to pass, which is where our elite edge and defensive back players should take advantage of that situation. This is definitely one of the best moves that Tom Telesco and Brandon Staley could have made this offseason, turning a weakness into a strength. I felt like the Chargers should still have pursued Akeem Hicks, but this defensive line, in retrospect to what it was last season, is going to look a lot better. Not listed on this video also are the linebackers. We did not make a graphic for them. These guys will also help in terms of defending the run quite a bit, okay? I know, guys, Kenneth Murray is somebody that Chargers fans have softened on a lot since last year. I do think Murray should have a bounce back season this year, okay? I do know that there's a lot of things at X factors that probably added up to a very bad year last season. The passing of his brother before the season, and of course a lingering injury throughout the year as well. I still believe in Kenneth Murray, and if anything, we know he's not great in coverage, but I do trust him in plugging holes and stopping the ball carrier. I do think he has a lot to offer in terms of run defense. As for our other linebacker, and Drew Tranquill, he's also going to have a big role here. He can be trusted in coverage a lot more, and I do think in combination with these new players on the defensive line, the Chargers' run defense should look a lot better in 2022. All right? Next up, let's talk about another very exciting addition to the Chargers this offseason in J.C. Jackson. This segment, we are going to be featuring the defensive backs, more specifically the corners. The Chargers corners have seen a ridiculous upgrade this year, and it feels like that's the trend in this video, right? Wow, ridiculous upgrades all around. J.C. Jackson, of course, is the highlight here of the acquisitions. He's not just the best corner that could have been found in free agency, but perhaps one of the best corners in the entire league. Of cornerbacks in the NFL, I do not believe there is a corner with more turnovers via fumbles and interceptions, of course, than J.C. Jackson. He truly is an elite cornerback one in the league, and when adding it to an already stacked Chargers defense, there's a lot of thought in J.C. Jackson having a very fine year with the Chargers this season. His presence should unlock serious potential for Brandon Staley and his unique blitz packages. We know that the Chargers have not been the most blitz-happy team for very many years, and I think a lot of that does have to do with coverage and Joey Bosa not having any help. Now the Chargers have both, and this will unlock, again, a lot of potential for Brandon Staley, who loves those blitz packages. He just could not utilize them to their full potential. To see a return this season. And this could also result in similar dominance to guys like Jalen Ramsey with the Rams. Brandon Staley really created something special with the Los Angeles Rams, the biggest reason likely why he was hired by the Chargers. This roster is going to give him the tools to create something similar, if not more impressive. It's hard to imagine something more impressive, as that team does feature Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald, but at the same time, the Chargers star power is creeping into that territory, and we know Brandon Staley via Jalen Ramsey knows what to do when you've got an elite shutdown cornerback one. Additionally, J.C. Jackson, another thing that I think is very, very important to his add to the Chargers is his impressive ball hawking skills. The Chargers have not been the most successful team in generating turnovers over the past, decade or two. I think that's about to change. I feel like a lot of these acquisitions do come down to helping the Chargers turnover ratio, getting the ball in the hands of our top 5 defense once again. And that's something that you're going to find sprinkled throughout this entire roster, whether it be DBs, linebackers, edge players, a lot of turnover upside for pretty much every level for the Chargers. And turnovers are going to be another big reason why the Chargers should have an easier time taking the West. And it doesn't end there either. Asante Samuel Jr. will have a big role in this team as well. His rookie season was hindered by back-to-back concussions, but I do think when we saw him on the field, what we saw was impressive man coverage and turnover upside. So his return will pair extremely well with the Chargers' new cornerback one in J.C. Jackson. In terms of what they're looking at in the AFC West specifically, and this is why we explained in such detail these two players, they match up very well versus the Chargers' AFC West rivals. Well, from left to right, once again, we've got Davante Adams, who is going to be shadowed by J.C. Jackson. That's going to be one of the most highlighted and featured matchups you're going to see all season long, and they get to do it twice a year. That is without a doubt the most dangerous wide receiver to worry about in the AFC West. But the Chargers, luckily, with the foresight of J.C. Jackson, have the perfect counter. Is he going to completely shut down Davante Adams? Probably not, but it's going to keep him contained from where Adams can run away and win any given game for the Raiders. We also have to remember that Davante Adams is not playing with Aaron Rodgers anymore, and that is going to be somewhat of a subtraction to what his peak performance is going to be. So maybe that does even out the talent of Davante Adams, the talent of J.C. Jackson. That's going to be a very fun matchup to see. As for the Chiefs, you've got Juju Smith-Schuster, who's a subpar wide receiver. Again, he should be seeing a lot of J.C., not too much to worry about there. And then, of course, the Broncos, Jerry Jeudy. That's going to be one where, again, I feel like J.C. Jackson is going to have the advantage. All of these teams, of course, have pretty good wide receiver twos. Of course, Renfro of the Raiders is going to see a lot of Asante Samuel. You got Mecole Hardman, again, a lot of Samuel. And then you could see a little bit of flipping between Jerry Jeudy and Patrick of the Denver Broncos as well, in terms of who's going to be covering them, either Asante Samuel or J.C. Jackson. Finally, the last thing I did want to cover in terms of the cornerbacks is going to be depth at this unit as well. It is absolutely ridiculous. The Chargers also added Bryce Callahan. They've already got a Michael Davis on the roster, and they did add a duo of rookies as well, and Jasir Taylor and Dean Leonard. Callahan, I know, maybe flew under the radar a little bit. He's been banged up. He's definitely on the older side, but when he is healthy, he's one of the best slot corners in the NFL, and that's really going to do a lot for Brandon Staley in terms of where he lines people up. We heard a lot about Asante Samuel playing the slot. Of course, J.C. Jackson for a while was looked at as one of the best slot wide receivers in the league. Now you got Callahan. It offers, again, a lot of flexibility of what you can do with that unit. As for Davis and Taylor and Leonard, these guys all carry very similar traits in terms of size and speed. Michael Davis is 6'2". He ran a very nice 40. These guys should, again, offer an option for the Chargers when going up against speedsters. I would almost look at those guys utilized maybe a little bit more outside of the AFC West matchups in terms of facing those speedsters from other teams, including Tyreek Hill we're going to face again via the Miami Dolphins this season. This combo of corners, this roster of corners, should keep the Chargers among the league's best in terms of coverage. And again, when you add that all up, when you combine that with a very dominant pass rushing duo in Bosa and Mack, magic can happen, okay? And then finally, the last unit on this defense to talk about your safeties. We actually titled this segment The Secret Weapon, saving the best for last, right? When it comes to the biggest wild card to try and plan against, it's probably Derwin James. Opposing teams are going to have a huge headache understanding what Derwin James is capable of this season. He's going to be involved pretty much at every level in any given game because Derwin is going to be one of the most dominant players in the NFL this season, especially given all these additions. And we're kind of lucky to have him with tight ends like Travis Kelce, Darren Waller, and Albert O to worry about in the AFC West. We've got the perfect counter. Darren Waller. There was a game where Derwin James stepped out of the game for a while. The moment he did, Darren Waller started going off. In Derwin's return, Darren Waller was contained. That's the kind of presence that Derwin James has on this defense. The same can be said about Travis Kelce. I think the exact same scenario went down last year with Travis Kelce. When on the field, Travis Kelce is not as big of an issue with Derwin James covering him. And that is the secret weapon in terms of shutting down these elite tight ends. Of course, Albert O, we don't know much about him. He could stink. But again, I feel very good with Derwin James being on the roster as the perfect counter to these elite tight ends. And it doesn't end there with Derwin James, man. New teammates like J.C. Jackson, Khalil Mack, these guys are only going to make his game that much more lethal. As the leader of this defense, Derwin is going to be leading the charge again from every level. It's going to create way more opportunities with a dominant pass rush and very sticky coverage from JC and company. Additionally, the Chargers did also add another safety in JT Woods, who I feel is going to be involved a lot sooner than we think as well. With JT playing up top, again, it's going to free Derwin to move all over the field. And again, this makes Derwin the ultimate wild card. Watch him, man the box, line up out wide, or even rush the passer at any given moment. This is the star piece of the Chargers defense. But let's not forget the Chargers' other safeties on the roster as well. Nasir Adderley, who had a nice season last year. The great part about these safeties, Nasir, Alohi Gilman, JT Woods, Derwin James, is that as the pass rush and corner coverage improves, so will their opportunities to make big plays, right? A safety like Nasir Adderley, for example, he can recognize what's happening in front of him, right? And if players are locked down with J.C. Jackson, if the edge, players are getting to the quarterback, I feel like Nasir will recognize those as opportunities. If he sees a bad ball thrown in his direction, he's not the kind of player to sit back, swat it away, play, the receiver. He's going to go after the ball. And these opportunities are going to be plentiful, at least vastly improved this season with the Chargers' new acquisitions on defense. So it's going to be crazy, guys. Derwin is my pick for Defensive Player of the Year, to answer my own question from the top of the video. And he's likely going to be a big reason why the Chargers defense leads the charge in taking and overtaking the AFC West from the Kansas City Chiefs. Last point here that I want to make, and why this is so important, why these matchups are very important to pay attention to going into this season. This is why the defense is going to win the West, okay? The Chargers have the most complete defense in the division, in my opinion, okay? And I think by a lot of people's opinions. Not to mention the most lethal defense at every level. You've got playmakers out there, guys that can take the ball away, get to the quarterback, man up their guys, completely erase them from the game. We've got lethal weapons on defense at every level. Now, the reason why we're showing Herbert is that Herbert and the Chargers offense ranked top 5 last year, right? They're going to have a lot more opportunities this year as well. All these are kind of adding up to versatility and opportunities, right? Our AFC rivals cannot boast anything close to our roster in terms of defense, and that's going to allow Justin Herbert to continue his campaign as maybe a top 5, top 3 quarterback in the league and leading a top 5 offensive unit into the AFC West next season. and he's going to have a lot more opportunities to attack these defenses. With the Chargers defense matching up so well versus our rivals, it prevents a clear advantage to me. Okay? We have an answer for pretty much everything. One more time, we're going to scroll really quick, okay? We've got an answer for the elite quarterbacks in our pass rush. We've got an answer for the running attack with our brand new defensive line. We've got an answer, we got an answer for these receivers, especially Davante Adams, with this elite unit of corners. We've got an answer for pretty much every X-factor scenario, plus the tight ends in Derwin, James, and these safeties. The Chargers have a clear and present advantage, in my opinion. These defenses have some strengths. The Raiders have a great pass rush, very weak in terms of secondary. The Chiefs, I don't feel really boast any strength on defense. Maybe overall they're average. And the Broncos have a pretty good pass rush, some nice coverage pieces in there as well, but nothing in comparison to what the Chargers have put together in 2022. We know the Chargers and Justin Herbert and this offense can put up points, right? But now boasting a defense that can slow down players like Mahomes, Davante Adams, Wilson, etc., this should present way more opportunities for the Chargers to not only make big plays on defense, giving the ball back to the offense, but walk away with more wins. Better clock management. Not asking Herbert to carry the whole team on his back and try and grab a win for us. This all equates to perfectly countering every piece that the AFC West has to throw at us, as well as creating more opportunities for turnovers, offensive possessions, and by far the most important stat, wins. This is why I think the Chargers present the best opportunity for themselves in the AFC West and why I think they're going to take the division. So you guys let me know in the comment section below. Let me know who you think is going to have the best shot at taking Defensive Player of the Year if the Chargers are in contention for that. And let me know what you think in terms of the Chargers defense. How important are they going to be in terms of the AFC West and ushering in a new era for a top team like the Chargers? Let me know. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me. Guys, thank you again so much for checking out the Chargers Unleashed mega episode as well. If you guys haven't checked that out yet either, please definitely go search the Chargers Unleashed YouTube channel. Check out the mega crossover where me and 4 other Chargers YouTubers go at it and talking about what we expect to see this offseason. And of course, guys, thank you so much for all the support that you guys have shown with the hype video. If you guys haven't seen the hype video yet, definitely check that out. I think it definitely turned out very good. I'm very happy with how that ended up. So, guys, thank you so much for joining me. This has been The Director. Hit us up with a like and sub on your way out. If you did enjoy this content, we'll see you next time. And as always, bolt up and stay frosty. This Chargers defense, ridiculously stacked.